Welcome back to the channel. This is Ready Storm and you're watching 6th part of What If Naruto Mastered Ancient Shinobi Way. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
If everyone is fine, I recommend we move on, Naruto said, turning away from his former teammate. We have a problem, Naruto-kun, Hinata said from next to Kiba, who was comforting a sobbing Orochimaru. What's the matter? Naruto asked as he approached them, looking down at Orochimaru. Kiba looked up at him, too worried to be surprised that someone he thought was dead was now standing over him. That jerk broke Orochimaru's leg, he explained, and he can't fight in that condition. This is a bad situation, Kakashi said, because Kiba won't be able to fight as effectively while Orochimaru is out of commission. Also, Shino continued, we've come too far to turn back, and we can't drag them into a battle. I have a solution, he says. What is it, Naruto? Kakashi wondered. Tsubaki. As he spoke, a woman in a similar cloak with short blue hair and a sword strapped over her left shoulder appeared from nowhere on one bended knee. What do you expect from me, Uzumaki-sama? To say that the others around him were taken aback by his display of submission and respect would be an understatement. I need you to stay here and assist Kiba in returning Orochimaru to Suna. Good day, Uzumaki-sama. Naruto returned to Hinata and gave her a warm, busted smile before becoming serious once more. Alright, everyone, he'll be fine. Let's go. With that, the group moved on, each of them pushing what had happened to the back of their minds, at least until the mission was completed. Kiba stood there watching them leave before pulling out some bandages and breaking off a branch to make a splint, then looking over at the kunoichi assigned to assist him. He gave her a suspicious look. For the past 2.5 years, he had acted as a subordinate to someone he thought was dead, and he needed more information. So, Tsubaki? She asked, nodding, how long have you known the Dobi? It was a good question, but the way he phrased it wasn't the wisest, as the blade at his neck attested. I understand you may have a history with Uzumaki-sama, but I will not allow you to treat him so disrespectfully. I didn't even see her move, Kiba reflected, his brow furrowed. Orochimaru growled from his prone position, but he was powerless to help his master because the pain was too great to bear. Do we get each other, Inuzuka-san? Hi. She sheathed her sword and stepped back. What will you have me do now? What have you been doing all this time, Naruto, while we were mourning your loss? Returning to Arashigakure no Sato. Does this look like him? Yes, we were unable to obtain any information from him regarding who he truly works for. We know he is from Konoha, but he is not your typical Konoha nin. Can you explain why? I believe it is due to a seal on his tongue that prevents him from speaking of whoever he works for. The typical Konoha ninja, not even the Anbu, would not do something like that. Because he's not the obvious Konoha nin, that means there's a secret organization in their midst, the obvious leader of the two said sinisterly, and that boy was smart to capture him. Two men stood in front of another man's chained form. He sat in the cell's corner, his hands individually encased in stone gloves that were anchored to the ground by a steel chain. The gloves were designed so that the fingers could hold certain objects, such as a spoon or cup, while the fingers were denied all mobility, preventing him from making hand seals. Because the prison he was in was underground and the chains extended from the soft floor to just before the solid stone walls, it would take more than a good banging to break it off. As the two men talked about him as if he weren't there, he looked up with lifeless eyes. It didn't bother him because he had no emotions or even a concept of what that was. I don't know your name and I don't care, the leader of the two said, but I have a proposition for your master that I believe will greatly interest him. He said, staring at him with those same lifeless eyes. It involves a little Kyuubi brat, the two's leader said, a knowing smirk on his face. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki is dead, the stoic ninja said, killed by Uchiha Sasuke about 2.5 years ago. You have nothing. That's what you think, Ambu-san, the shackled ninja said, looking to the one who was now speaking, clearly the subordinate. I'm paying attention. He is the leader of this village and is responsible for your capture and interrogation. Why do you tell me this? The ninja inquired, suspicious of his actions. I don't have much time, so I'll tell you bluntly. The leader's face suddenly turned vile. I cannot stand that boy. He does not deserve that power. It should rightfully be mine. And I refuse to follow the command of a brat who hasn't even reached his full height yet. That brat didn't even put me on his pathetic excuse of a council. I want you to destroy him and his precious girlfriend so that I can become the true Shad. I see, the shackled ninja said. This information is indeed very interesting, but I can't do anything about it right now because steps have been taken to prevent my escape, unless you have a way to grant me my freedom? In fact, I do. The superior smirk returned to his face. He is currently out of the village on business with a small group of special Junin, so be on the lookout at midnight tonight. I see, so who should I tell my master who gave me this information? I see you're trying to gather information on me as well, he chuckled. Well, tell him the information came from Akahoshi, the fourth Hoshikage. That's excellent. Returning to River Country. Team Kakashi, minus Kiba and Akamaru, along with Hinata, Naruto, and Chiyoba-sama, arrived at the Akatsuki base, only to find a stunned Team Guy staring at Hinata and Naruto. But how? Tenten asked, her face contorted. I thought you were dead? Naruto cut the girl off. I understand your surprise, but this is neither the time nor the place. Naruto is correct. This is not the time to gather information, Kakashi said as he took the command. Our first order of business is this seal, he added. What should we do, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura inquired. We could just take it off, he explained. But it could be trapped, Naruto pointed out. That's right, Kakashi said solemnly. Neji, can you see if there are any more like these anywhere? He quickly activated his clan's prized dojutsu and scanned the area, finding 4 similar seals in 4 different directions. Team Guy will take each of the separate seals, and I will remove the one right here, he said, handing them communicators. On my mark, remove the seals at the same time, Sakura. Hello, she said as she put on her gloves and took her place. It wasn't long before Kakashi felt a buzz in his ear. Are you ready? He asked, and with approval from all members of Team Guy, he continued, okay. Now. The paper seal was ripped off in all 5 directions at the same time, and as soon as it was done, Sakura charged the boulder and smashed it into pebbles, allowing the retrieval team to enter with no resistance, or so they thought. Several white spiders emerged from the dust as soon as the boulder was destroyed. Everyone moved. Naruto yelled as he impaled them with a few well-placed kunai to the surface they were crawling on. But it didn't work because they exploded on impact, forcing all the ninja to take cover and allowing a white object to fly past them and land in the sky with a smirk on his face. Hope you liked my art. He certainly did, yay, he said, pointing to the mop of red hair protruding from the bird-like object's mouth. Gaara, Naruto said quietly to himself. Kakashi spoke into the microphone around his neck. Guy, how are you doing? There was silence for a while before something came through to Kakashi. I'm sorry, Kakashi-san, Neji said, but the seals were indeed trapped, and we are currently engaged with some copies of ourselves who are evenly matched with us. This isn't good, said Kakashi. I propose that Shino go help Team Guy while we take care of these 2 and rescue Gaara. But Sakura interjected before being cut off abruptly. There is no time to argue, he said, because that guy is fleeing while we stand here. He was correct. Deidara had already established a respectable lead with the Hokage, who was currently suffering from extreme chakra exhaustion as a result of his Biju being extracted. They didn't know whether he was dead or alive at the time. "Hinata, you should be fine. I'll handle the one who is waiting for us." The words were laced with mockery for the clearly frustrated Sasori who remained in the cave. Hinata laughed before performing a few hand seals. "Kuchiyose no jutsu," he says. They saw Hinata standing on the back of a large brown eagle after the smoke cleared. "Do you think he'll just let you go after the Jinchuriki?" As a wave of iron sand shot towards Hinata and her summon, Sasori said from inside the cave. Before the sand could crush them, the bird flapped its wing, propelling it upwards away from the sand, while Kakashi leapt out of the way, ran up the cliff face, and jumped on top of the bird with Hinata. "Sakura and Shino," he said, "I will go with Hinata to retrieve Gaara." "Stop Sasori and Shino, go help Team Guy." "Hi." Hinata and Kakashi took off at breakneck speeds straight up into the sky. "Tsukihime, there's a white mockery of a bird I'd like you to track down, but be careful because it's carrying someone important." She muttered, "Only a few others in the sky can compete with me." "Just a moment, I believe I understand what you're saying." "As do I, Tsukihime," Hinata said, his Byakugan blazing, "but be prepared, Kakashi-san, this will be a ride like no other." Naruto entered the cave with a calm demeanor, flanked by Chiyo and Sakura. "You seem rather calm, boy," Sasori's lifeless face said. "Do you really need to save Gaara? I can assure you that none of you will survive this." Naruto's expression was unwavering. "What have you done, Sasori?" Chiyo spoke up after seeing his face and recognizing the puppet by his side. He laughed dryly and without humor. "This is my greatest art. I will never age, lasting forever," he said, "and by the looks of it, neither do you." "And what about the Sandame Kage's human puppet?" Sakura exclaimed. "What do you mean, that is?" "Yes," Sasori replied, "the Sandame Kage is here. He was a prized piece in my collection and deserved the title because he was difficult to kill." "What's so special about a human puppet?" inquired Sakura. "Because the chakra circulation system has been preserved, the puppet retains all of its techniques from when it was alive, including this particular one," she explained as she unwrapped her own pair of puppets, "was created by our Sandame Kage, who was well known for his iron sands techniques that were unique to him. Sasori is the only one who can create a human puppet." Now that this pleasant conversation is over, he flexed a few of his fingers, causing the puppet to spew a large amount of sand. The sand formed and lashed out at the three, relentlessly attacking them as Chiyo's puppets weaved in and out of the attack. Sakura and Chiyo were doing well until they were cut by the extremely agile sand. "This fight is over," Sasori said as the black sand struck his parents' human puppets during Chiyo's distraction. "Ba-sama!" screamed Sakura as he saw her narrowly avoiding being crushed. "Worry about yourself, girl," Sasori said as she struggled to get out of the sand. Sasori withdrew the sand and instructed the puppet to shape it into shapes. The sand, like all of his weapons, was poisoned. "You should be feeling the effects of the poison now, which will make crushing you three like vermin easier." "You say that, but you haven't hit me once," a voice from behind him said, "and your poison will not harm us." Sasori jumped away from the voice and turned to face the speaker. "You, but how?" he asked, looking back between himself and the two women to see Naruto standing there. "I see," Sasori said, bracing himself for a more devastating attack. "You should have killed me when you had the chance, but luckily for you, we want you alive, so I'll only cripple you." "Yes, I should have," Naruto said as his Kage Bunshin dispersed, "but I can't get information from a dead man, so whatever state you're in will have to suffice in your case." "Information?" You are a fool, he said, but he listened anyway. What kind of information is worth passing up an opportunity to eliminate your foe? What happened to Orochimaru? Sasori laughed another mocking laugh. What gave you the impression that I knew anything about that traitorous snake bastard? There's a rumor that he was your partner, and that the Akatsuki wants him dead. And Yoi just called him a traitor or snake bastard. It appears that you were well informed, boy. Whatever you did while you were missing has made you stronger, and for that I will make the deaths of your friends as painless as possible, especially my Ba-san. You made a grave mistake by doing that, Naruto said as he moved to stand in front of Sakura, Chio, and Sasori, flashing through a long string of seals. Meanwhile, Sasori shaped the sand into shapes and hurled them at a defenseless Chio, retrieving another summoning scroll, and Sakura, who was ready to smack the objects into another continent. However, Sasori underestimated the speed of the blonde Jinchuriki, who appeared in front of the two women with his hands in the Tora seal. Ketsugo Yuso. Hojingukakyu no Jutsu, Ketsugo Yuso. Hojingukakyu no Jutsu. The largest ball of white flames anyone has ever seen erupted from his mouth, colliding with the objects and melting them into molten masses of red liquid. That could no longer be used by a magnetic force. Instead of being impressed by the display of power, Sasori sent his Sandaime puppet at the blonde with cruel-looking blades sprouting from its arm, intending to put the blonde down, and he would have to fight to kill him if he wanted to take him at all. Naruto noticed the approaching puppet but made no move. Sakura, on the other hand, saw it coming and drew a kunai from her pouch before moving to intercept when she was stopped by a blade held by a wooden hand. "Get out of the way, Naruto!" she yelled. He didn't even move, much to her chagrin, and she had no idea whether he had heard her or not. That technique must be very expensive if he can't move, she reasoned. Why does it have to be like this after we just reunited? After all these years, I'm still being protected. In collaboration with Hinata and Kakashi. Tsukihime, go! Following her summoner's command, the giant eagle folded its wings and dive-bombed Deidara on his clay ride with incredible speed. Something made Deidara look up, whether it was the hairs on the back of his neck standing up, the cold sweat running down his back, or the loud shrieking noise from above him. It didn't matter because by the time he looked up, the rare half of his clay creation had been cleaved off by the large bird of prey's wings. The clay creation lost its stability due to the sudden loss of weight in the rare, causing it to flip backwards in midair, allowing Hinata to land on the very tip of the creation's mouth. During Tsukihime's descent, Hinata jumped out of concern for Kakashi, who then relaxed and returned to focusing on his newest technique when he saw her land with feline grass on Deidara's claybird. "Where did you come from, he inquired, surprised. Hinata completely ignored him as she pushed her hands into the mouth of the creation, yanked Gaara out, and jumped off again with Gaara in tow. "Shit," Deidara muttered. It had all happened so quickly that preparing one of his works of art was pointless, and now that they had the Ichibi Jinchuriki, he couldn't risk injuring him. Tsukihime swooped beneath Deidara, allowing Hinata to land on her back gracefully. "Okay, Kakashi-san, Gaara has joined us and is no longer in danger." Kakashi nodded, then removed his hand from the ram seal and raised his Hitai-Ite, revealing his Sharingan eye. However, unlike a typical Sharingan, the three Tomos joined at the center to form the infamous Mangekyo Sharingan. Hinata was surprised to see it because it was the first time she had seen it, but she never imagined that someone outside of the Uchiha clan could obtain it, especially given the requirements. "You are truly a genius, Kakashi-san," she said to Kakashi, who was unable to respond due to intense concentration, "but what are you going to do now?" "Watch and see," he said, peering through his Mangekyo Sharingan at Deidara. As he said this, the space around Deidara began to warp, sucking in the matter around it. Deidara was already struggling to keep his ride stable, and now he had to worry about being sucked into whatever that was. He attempted to steer it away from the strange technique, but it was futile because the technique was getting closer and closer. He was fortunate in that his lack of stability saved his life. Because of an incorrectly placed weight, the technique missed his torso and sucked his crushed hand into the vortex. Gaara was enraged. This reminded him of the first time he met Itachi. With rage, he shoved his one good hand into his hip pouch, which contained his special clay. He shaped several miniature birds after combining it with his chakra. He tossed them and brought them to life with a seal, but before they could move towards Hinata and Kakashi, they exploded in his face, knocking him off his perch and sending him careening to the forest floor below. Let's get Tsukihime back. Hinata, are you sure? That man is still alive. He won't be fighting anyone for a while, Hinata replied, and Akatsuki's strength has taken a hit today. What do you mean, Hinata? Kakashi asked, catching his breath on Tsukihime's back, and that was a very interesting jutsu. I had no idea you were a water type. I still haven't mastered that jutsu, Kakashi thought, his hand over his eye. He won't be able to fight at full strength, and Sasori will almost certainly be killed today. How do you know that? Gaara may have assisted in the kidnapping of the Kazekage, but Sasori is a missing nin from that village. Imagine what would happen to Itachi if he and his accomplice came to Konoha and were apprehended. I see, he sat up straight, you seem to have grown quite a bit, Hinata. What have you been up to for the past 2.5 years? She gave him a soft smile. Don't you want to know? That one caught him off guard. Along with Naruto. Naruto stood motionless as the puppet of the Sandaime Kazekage charged at him, terrified that he would die again, this time for real. However, as it was about to cut off his head, it was abruptly stopped by a blade held by another puppet in a white cloak as another destroyed the Kazekage puppet with a strike from its weapon. They said Chio can capture an entire building with just those 10 puppets, Sasori said, unconcerned about the loss of his prized possession, but with these. He unwrapped his own set of puppets, which were black and outnumbered Chio's 10-1. I can take over a country. Naruto and Sakura, the puppets, leapt into battle. A puppeteer's skill is measured by how many puppets they can control at the same time, Chio reasoned, but his focus is spread far too thin to defeat my puppets. This was demonstrated by the fact that, despite his overwhelming numerical advantage, his puppets were being cut down faster than wheat was being harvested. Sasori's 100 were easily cut down with Chio's 10 and Sakura's Tsunade-like strength. However, Naruto was the one doing the majority of the damage because the closed fist style was proving to be quite useful against lifeless things like these, so he easily waded through them like a shark on the hunt, but as the numbers dwindled, Sasori's control over his remaining puppets became more and more accurate as his attention was not being divided by so much. I'll ask you again, Naruto said as he smashed another puppet, where is Orochimaru? Your puppets are no match for me. Sasori didn't respond, instead twitched his fingers, causing his dwindling puppet army to fight. Fine, Naruto said, pausing his attack and lowering his guard for a moment. This was all Sasori needed for a puppet to stab him in the back. Sakura gasped and jumped back, her rage palpable as she glared at the puppet master. You should get rid of such useless emotions, he advised, adding, a ninja should not show such emotions. He appeared to be gloating, but his complete lack of emotion or even concern blinded him to the impending danger. Such folly as ignoring one's emotions only serves to bury one's true strength, a voice from behind said before a fist ripped through his body, narrowly missing the canister that housed the only human part he still had. How come you're not dead? What do you mean? As the blood that came out of its mouth vanished and the shadow clone poofed out of existence, Naruto pointed to the still form of his dead body. A simple genjutsu and a kawarimi with a shadow clone, he explained, pulling his hands out of the limp puppet and walking to face him. It's still my weakest area, but depending on how a person uses it, they can fool even a master. It appears I underestimated you, Uzumaki, he admitted as he slumped over, but you are too young to be a match for. Sasori had shifted his consciousness at the last moment and attempted to sneak up on Naruto, but his plan was abruptly thwarted when two blades appeared through the cylindrical canister that was his only human part and weak point. He looked up at the lifeless eyes of his mother and father, the first puppets he made. It's over, Sasori, Naruto said as he looked at him, you've caused a lot of trouble and sorrow for your grandmother. That is of no concern to me, he said, demonstrating his own lack of life. You bastard, Sakura yelled, punching him in the face, which cracked under the blow. This body feels no pain. If you continue to hit me, you will only hurt yourself. Don't you feel anything? She came all the way here just to see her grandson again. If you don't feel anything, what do you think a human life is? Is that what a ninja should say? Sasori replied, emotions are completely useless to a ninja. Even though we are related by blood, I would feel nothing if my grandma here died. Of all the hundreds and thousands of people I have killed, she is just another one of them. Why can't you think in different ways? Enough Sakura, the terrible customs and teachings of the sand are what made him this way, Chio said, seeing what had become of her grandson. Naruto simply listened to Sakura speak, leaving her speechless. Despite his rants about useless things, he appeared to be doing some of them himself. Would you like to become like this, too? He asked. An undecaying body. A puppet body can be rebuilt over and over. Unfettered by mortal lifespan. I can just make as many people as I want out of puppets. It was easy to see why he had become what he had become to those willing to look beneath the surface. In some ways, it reminded Naruto of another loathsome boy who had lost his parents far too young. In this one's case, he didn't need anyone to shatter his mind because it was already shattered, and his life in Suna did nothing to bring him back to life. If I really want them. This only served to enrage Sakura even more. I don't just add for the sake of numbers. He continued unblinkingly, collections are about quality. Who the hell are you? Sakura asked, still stunned that such a person could say such things. If I had to say. Maybe. A person who couldn't become a puppet. He said with a small smile on his wooden face, I am a puppet, but an incomplete puppet with the core of my real body. Not human. Not puppet. Naruto approached the fallen puppet master. I won't be able to move for much longer, he said emphatically, but before that, I'll do something useless for you. A reward for defeating me. Naruto, Sakura and Chio listened to his final words, whatever they were, but Naruto had an idea what he was talking about. Didn't you want to know about Orochimaru? Go to Tenshi Bridge in Grass Country at noon 10 days from now. What do you? Sakura began, but was cut off. I have a spy among Orochimaru's subordinates. He said as his life faded, and I am supposed to meet with him there. And then he was gone, a bittersweet ending to a genius of the puppet art, as the light of life remains open, puppet eyes locked in his parents' eternal embrace. Naruto, Hinata, Tsubaki, and Kai approached Arashigakure no Sato's front gate. It was 3 days after Gaara was rescued. He was unharmed except for a severe case of chakra exhaustion. He awoke the next day and informed the members present that Akatsuki was unable to fully extract the Biju, Shukaku, due to their actions. Flashback. Gaara awoke groggily after being unconscious for a few hours, looking around to see his surroundings, the white of the walls almost convincing him of his demise, until he heard a voice. Welcome back, Gaara. We thought we lost you, the voice said. How does it feel to be burden-free? He focused his attention on the source of the voice. What he saw made him reconsider his existence. Uzumaki? He inquired, so, I'm dead? When Naruto laughed, the occupants exchanged glances. Ha ha ha, Gaara, you're not dead, and I know what you're going to say, I'm not dead either. I see. How do you like it? Gaara looked at him, puzzled. What would you be without a demon on your back? Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, Akatsuki was unable to extract the Shukaku. So, what happened? Sakura inquired through the door. They were unable to complete their ceremony, but they did obtain a sizable portion of both my and Shukaku's chakra, but his conscience remains with me, and without the conscience, the chakra that they took may simply dissipate. Gaara paused before continuing, however, had they been allowed one more day to complete their task, I would have died. End of flashback. A lone ninja appeared before him and bowed in submission as he stood beneath the columns of the gate that marked the entrance to the village. Did your trip go well, Kanshisha-sama? Very much so, he replied. Call the council, there is much to discuss, and tell them to meet me in the council room in 2 hours. I need to make sure that Hinata Hara gets some rest. Hello, he said before departing to complete the task. I'm fine, Naruto-kun, she stated. You've been going non-stop since we arrived in Suna, not to mention you did a summon. If it hadn't been for our training under Master, you'd be in serious trouble. Hinata pouted at him, but Naruto simply caressed her cheek and kissed her tender lips, instantly deflating her as she smiled up at him. You certainly know how to make your point, Naruto-kun, she said before kissing him again, but only if you do the same. But I don't care if no one can compete with your chakra reserves. Despite being a Jinchuriki, you still need to SLPPED. Naruto grinned as he took her hand in his and walked into the village. Only because I care about you. Kanshisha-sama, why have you scheduled this meeting so soon after your return? Shibuki, the former leader of the Whirlpool Ninjas, inquired. I had a very eventful trip in which I helped the Kazekage, Sabaku no Gaara, return from Akatsuki. The three men's eyes widened as they heard the name. The fact that Akatsuki had captured Gaara only meant that Naruto would be in danger. After all, he was a Jinchuriki as well, and while there were some powerful ninja in their ranks, they were still new and weaker than Suna. It appears that they are on the move, said Megan Tosuke, the man who kept the Whirlpool village from collapsing. Yes, Megan Dono, but we were able to learn some very important information as well as defeat them. Please continue, Kanshisha-sama. The final council member, Fuma Hanzaki, who kept the Fuma clan alive before Naruto arrived. The extraction procedure appears to be time-consuming, requiring at least 3 days. During the battles that ensued after their hideout was stormed, one of their members, Sasori of the Red Sands, was killed by the hand of his grandmother. Naruto paused to allow them to process the information. 7 days from now, a spy from the legendary Sannin Orochimaru is expected to meet him at the Tenchi Bridge in Grass Country. This is indeed very valuable information, Megan said. Will you use this spy to assassinate Orochimaru? Yes, Naruto replied. I intend to carry out the assassination myself. What? I implore you, Uzumaki-sama, please reconsider. With the threat of the Akatsuki, Uzumaki-sama must consider his role as a leader of this village, Hanzaki said. I agree, Megan added. There are a number of qualified assassins that this mission can be given to under Hinata guidance. Sama's there is no need for Kanshisha-sama to risk his life. I understand how you all feel, Naruto admitted, but I'm also sure you understand that this is something I have to do as the leader of this village. Shibuki said, Uzumaki-sama. Is this just for the sake of this village's honor, or do you still intend to keep your promise? You are correct, Shibuki-san, Naruto said with a smile, and you know my Nindo and that I cannot turn my back on it. So you intend to defeat Uchiha and hand him over to Konoha? Naruto smiled once more, a smile that indicated Naruto had a plan. No, that would be a waste of time. If his task is not completed, he will simply defect and seek out his brother. If I'm right about the Teme, his Uchiha pride won't let him stay under Orochimaru's wing for much longer. I intend to push him along his current path and remind him of his goal. After all, our 10th dragon is his primary goal. Everything will fall into place in the end. Do you intend to tell us about your plan? Shibu inquired, enjoying Naruto's light atmosphere. No, you'll see when the time comes that Sasuke's arrogance, impatience, and stupidity will do the work for me in fulfilling my promise, and all I have to do is deliver. I'm not sure I understand what you mean, but I trust you. As will I, Hanzaki said, closely followed by Megan. Good, he said as he opened a folder on his desk and the room went dark. Now let us move on to other matters. The prisoner has escaped, it has come to my attention. Yes, one guard was killed, and no one knew how he got out. I see, Naruto said as he closed the folder, there appears to be deception in our beloved village. It appears that way, Hanzaki agreed. The cells were designed in such a way that the prisoner could not have escaped on his own and had to have received assistance. What are your plans? Megan inquired. I expected some sort of disagreement because I am a teenager and there will be those who oppose me being the leader. Yes, but what good would it do to release a prisoner? Shibuki, did you wonder? When we arrived here, we brought a number of extremely valuable and powerful items with us. These could be the key to this treachery. So, what are we going to do now? In a case like this, subtlety must be observed, Naruto said, clapping his hands together. This traitor will seek to acquire powerful allies and spies that will make it easy to usurp my authority. Do you mean? Yes, and as a result, I've already prepared. Very well, Kanshisha-sama, you are very wise. Naruto grinned as he scratched the back of his head. Thank you. My master made certain of it. Location unknown. As his master addressed him, the Anbu knelt on one knee with his head to the floor. I see you've returned, Danzo observed, what do you have to say? Irashigakure no Sado is the name of the new village. I don't have much to say about them except that they are extremely young but have powerful and experienced ninjas under the leader's command. This village also includes Hyuga Hinata. The Anbu continued to tell him about the battle between the Whirlpool and the Earth Samurai. What can you tell me about this leader? I see. It's very troubling, Danzo-sama, the ninja said, because the obvious leader of the village is none other than the Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto. Danzo didn't seem surprised or concerned in the least. I always thought he was still alive. Uchiha Sasuke may have been stronger, but I doubt he was able to completely eradicate his body. He paused. The Hyuga girl will need to be taken care of before any more of Konoha's secrets are leaked. What about the Jinchuriki? He is more useful to Konoha alive than he is dead. His capture must be completed as soon as possible. There's something else, Danzo-sama. And what exactly is that? There appears to be some dissatisfaction among the ranks of the Storm Village. There is a man claiming to be the last Hoshikage who wishes to depose Naruto and seize power for himself. Is that correct? Danzo chuckled to himself. It appears that we have a foothold to our means. Yes, indeed, the root agent replied, but this man appears to be after more than just control of a village. Then it appears that our Naruto has some very valuable and useful items at his disposal, Danzo said. Send a message to this person and tell him that I will meet with him. At the same time, Danzo-sama. It appears that I may have overestimated your utility, Naruto. Just then, another ninja in a cloak appeared in front of him. What do you have to say? Danzo inquired. Team Kakashi and Team Guy have returned with news of a spy among Orochimaru's ranks. There will be a meeting, which the Hokage plans to disrupt. How intriguing. Team Kakashi is also looking for a new member. Call Sai. Hi. This is a fantastic chance to kill two birds with one stone. As used in Konoha. Report. The Hokage of Konoha spoke as Team Guy and Team Kakashi approached her desk. Hello, began Kakashi. The mission to help the Sand in Relief and rescue Kazekage-sama was a complete success, with the only casualty being Akamaru, who suffered an injury to his hind leg. I expect him to be out of commission for some time, as will Inuzuka Kiba. However, Guy continued solemnly, there were some unexpected occurrences. Tsunade raised an eyebrow at his tone. Guy made no mention of the flames of youth or Rock Lee in his entire statement. Is that correct? Tsunade inquired, what exactly is this unexpected occurrence? On the mission, we were assisted by the missing Nin, Hyuga Hinata, and the formerly deceased Nin Uzumaki Naruto. He paused as he himself was still coming to terms with the reality. I see, Tsunade said, unconcerned by this new revelation. I'm guessing they were alone. No, Hokage-sama, Neji replied. Two highly competent ninja were with them. Did you even try to capture and return the two? I don't need to explain the worth of those two to Konoha, Tsunade said, piercing a hole in each of them. Yes, Hokage-sama, we do understand their true worth, Sakura said. Hearing Sakura say that brought a faint smile to Tsunade's face. However, we were unable to apprehend them. Well, that wasn't your primary mission, and the fact that they helped save Gaara means he's a hero. You vanished from us, and when you return, you are still a hero, if not more, Tsunade reflected. I expect a comprehensive report on my desk tomorrow. You are all dismissed, she said again before they could all leave, except you and Sakura, Kakashi. Tsunade exhaled a sigh of relief as the rest of the team left. Tsunade Shisho? What is his condition? He has grown quite powerful and even learned some very interesting techniques, Tsunade-sama, Kakashi replied. That's great to hear, Tsunade said. Tsunade-sama, we discovered an important piece of information. What exactly is it? There is a spy in Orochimaru's ranks who is to meet Sasori of the Red Sand at the Tenshi Bridge in Grass Country in 6 days. I see, this may be the golden opportunity we've been looking for, Tsunade said, her eyes sharp. We will intercept this spy and turn him in our own. Team Kakashi has been granted permission to participate. That could be a problem, because with Kiba out due to Akamaru's injury, your team is one person short. Then why don't I lend you one of mine? At the door stood a man who appeared to have held on to an exploding note for 1 second too long. This was completely unacceptable. Tenshi Bridge on the meeting day. Sakura, Shino, and Sai sat behind some shrubs, attempting to blend in as Kakashi, disguised as Sasori of the Red Sand, made his way to the center of the bridge to meet with the spy. Sakura had to stifle a gasp of surprise as the spy's identity was revealed as he approached Sasori. It's good to see you again, Sasori-sama, Kabuto said as he removed the hood. Hasn't it been 5 years? Were you being watched? In a hushed tone, Sasori inquired. No, we're just fine. How are you faring? I'm still a little shaken from when your technique was released, and I remembered who I really was, Kabuto admitted. My mind is also a little clouded. I'd like to ask you a few questions. We're wasting time, so please keep them brief, Kabuto said, adding, I'm putting my life in danger just by being here. Tell me everything you know about his hiding places in Uchiha Sasuke. There are several hideouts, Kabuto replied. He moves from one location to the next every week to keep his whereabouts hidden. Of course, he has them all over the world, not just the sound. Orochimaru's spies infiltrate, set them up, and manage them while he is away. But he uses a variety of methods to switch locations, so tracking him is difficult, he continued. What happened to him? Sasori inquired. Right now, he's hidden himself on an island in a northern lake and plans to leave in 3 days. So far, he's only told me about how he moves and nothing that can be used to track him, Kakashi reasoned. Either he knows I'm not Sasori or he's been turned by Orochimaru. Uchiha Sasuke is also present. Oh, by the way. Kabuto began to speak when he heard a rustling sound and tensed, but upon closer inspection, he discovered only a rabbit searching through the bushes. Oh, it's just a rabbit, he explained before continuing, about the matter you asked me to investigate. Shit. Kakashi muttered to himself, I needed a little more information, but if this continues, he will definitely see through my disguise. Because the body from which Orochimaru was transferred had protective wards surrounding it, I was unable to obtain the cell samples you requested. I see. Please hurry and give the item to me, Kabuto said, holding out his hand. I cannot afford to be out here any longer or else I will be discovered and killed. That's excellent. As Kabuto said this, his attention was drawn to an unusual movement in Sasori's sleeve. A hand wielding a kunai appeared and began to move quickly towards Kabuto. You're having a very interesting conversation, rasped a voice, may I participate? The worst possible person, Orochimaru of the legendary Sannin, appeared out of thin air. He was being followed, Kakashi reasoned. The snake that lay in wait at Orochimaru's feet lunged at Kabuto and wrapped him in its coils, but Kabuto was able to escape in time, resulting in the snake only capturing an empty cloak. Thank you, Sasori-sama. I wouldn't have been able to dodge in time if you hadn't drawn your kunai. What an incredible coincidence, he misinterpreted my intentions and did not see through my disguise. However, this could all be a ruse. I'd better be cautious. That outfit. It reminds me of the old days, Sasori, Orochimaru rasped through his slow snake-like tongue. You went after Kabuto. Don't be rude, I just wanted to thank you, Orochimaru responded, that boy you sent me was a true gift. When I was developing my jutsu, I went through over 100 test subjects for each one. But, thanks to that boy's medical abilities, I was able to reuse the same subject. I had recently depleted my supply. Orochimaru, whether he was a true genius was debatable, but he was a truly repugnant and sadistic human being, if that can even be called that. This is bad. I can't fight Orochimaru alone, and if Kabuto and I fought together, my cover would be blown, Kakashi reasoned, but if I bring out my team, Kabuto will figure out what we're up to, making it even more difficult to capture him. While Kakashi was deliberating, Kabuto activated his chakra scalpel, giving Kakashi only a few moments to react before the Hiriko was smashed to pieces. Orochimaru decided to attack as Kakashi leapt through the air to escape the wreckage. Senei Tajashu. A swarm of snakes emerged from Orochimaru's right sleeve and wrapped themselves around Kakashi's airborne body. Was I found out? No, this was all a ruse. Sasori's subordinate has been duped. The snake's teeth made contact with the bark of a log as they coiled around him and prepared to sink their fangs into him. Kukuku, Kakashi, it's been a long time, Orochimaru laughed. So, this was all planned from the start, Kakashi explained, you changed sides and pretended to be Sasori's subordinate. Tell me, is Orochimaru in charge of you? No one has control over me. Now then, Orochimaru chimed in, why don't you summon the 3 rats who are hiding behind you? Kakashi gave the signal, and in an instant, Shino, Sakura, and Sai were crouched in front of him, ready and poised to strike at any moment. It appears that one is missing, mocked Orochimaru. Orochimaru laughed, and Kabuto joined in after hearing his master's taunt and seeing Sakura's expression. I wish I could have seen Naruto. But before Kabuto could finish, Orochimaru tensed and jumped out of the way, prompting Kabuto to do the same. Orochimaru escaped unscathed, but Kabuto was not so fortunate, as he had a gash across his left bicep cutting into the bone, which he immediately began to heal. Who is there out there? I know you're there, show yourself so I can kill you, he yelled. 3 people emerged from the shadows of the forest, 2 men and 1 woman. I recognize you, Sakura said, pointing to the woman with short hair. You're Tsubaki, correct? Tsubaki and the long-haired Kumori Mataza stood silently behind their master. I'm not surprised you picked up on my attack, Orochimaru. That voice, Sakura exclaimed in surprise and awe as the figure removed the hood from his bell-sleeved coat. You are, after all, a Sannin. When Orochimaru revealed himself, he smiled. Kukuku, Naruto-kun, rumors of your death were greatly exaggerated. How did I miss his presence? Even now, I have the feeling that if I take my gaze away from him, he will vanish, Orochimaru thought. Do you think that stupid Teme could actually kill me? But didn't he beat you up? Naruto retorted, I let him win. I see, Orochimaru said, his sick grin remaining. It appears that you have not been squandering your time over the last 2.5 years. Tell me, what was that lethal technique you just used? It made no sound and seemed to start just a few feet away. Stand still and I will show you, Naruto replied, a grin on his face. I can assure you that you will not be able to avoid it the next time. Meanwhile, Sai watched him and tried to gauge Naruto as he bantered with the snake Sannin. Is this the Naruto I've heard so much about? He doesn't seem particularly strong, and he seems. But before he could finish his analysis, a pink flash shot up from the bridge and landed in front of them, her pink chakra wings shining in the golden sun and her pink irises glowed with intensity. Who are you? Kakashi inquired, keeping Orochimaru and Kabuto in sight. I am Hikari Shigure, one of the Jukyu no Arashi, and it is in your best interest to leave this bridge as soon as possible, she said, the chakra wings dissipating. I apologize, Shigure-san, Shino said, but our mission is to apprehend Kabuto. Very well, she said as she walked away from the group to the end of the bridge, holding her pet red panda, but you have been warned, so be prepared. Naruto noticed the exchange and decided it was time to begin. Orochimaru noticed the change in his expression. Something is going to happen, he thought. Tsubaki and Mataza started walking backwards until they were off the bridge. Are you leaving so soon, Naruto-kun? Kabuto asked, smirking and preparing his chakra scalpel for a fight. Naruto ignored him, his eyes turning a cold merciless stone as the blue faded to red and the pupil elongated into slits. Orochimaru of the legendary Sannin, I, Uzumaki Naruto, Shodai Kanshisha of Arashigakure no Sato, shall be your executioner for crimes against the Kuga clan, the Tuno clan, and the Fuma clan. Orochimaru of the legendary Sannin, I, Uzumaki Naruto, Shodai Kanshisha of Arashigakure no Sato, shall be your executioner for crimes against the Kuga clan, the Tuno clan, and the Fuma clan. Orochimaru and Kabuto could only laugh. If you believe you can, Orochimaru said, I'm curious who is stronger, you or my Sasuke-kun, and I've always wanted to see the power of a Jinchuriki. The wind whipped around and screamed with ferocity, scorching and cutting everything in its path, while the wooden portion of the bridge splintered to toothpicks. Kabuto, who had a smug expression on his face, got a nasty slice along the left side of his face, just missing the eye by millimeters. Orochimaru's grin widened even more when he saw 3 tails of pure chakra emerge from Naruto's tailbone, and the concrete that was part of the bridge cratered and the railing was sent flying, and there were burnt slash marks all around him, one coming dangerously close to taking off the toes on Kakashi's feet. As the wind died down, The red chakra that encircled Naruto and formed a fox-like figure around him began to shrink and tighten around his body. In awe of the might before him, Shino inquired, "What is this wind?" In preparation to attack Orochimaru, Naruto's muscles tightened, but in order to protect Orochimaru from the impending battle, Kabuto activated his chakra scalpel and charged at Naruto, slapping his palm on Naruto's chest. He smirked when he didn't see Naruto move, thinking he was too shocked to move because all the vessels leading to and from his heart had been severed. He was brought back to reality, however, when Naruto grabbed him by the collar. Jiraiya Shisho refers to the chakra that covers my body when I use Kyuubi's power as the Kyuubi's cloak. But because of my ability to control this level of its power, I can condense it into what I call the Kyuubi's armor, Naruto said, locking blood-red eyes with Kabuto. Naruto opened his mouth and screamed a chakra blast at the struggling Kabuto in his hands. The blast not only threw Kabuto off the bridge and into the surrounding forest, but it also ripped the bridge apart. Pure chakra, Kabuto said as he fell out of a body indent. He threw me this far with pure chakra. As the bridge collapsed, Orochimaru took advantage of the opportunity to make a strategic retreat to a more suitable location to fight while Naruto pursued. Unfortunately, Sakura was standing directly behind Kabuto when he was struck by the chakra blast and was knocked unconscious by Kabuto's hurtling body. Her body remained motionless as the bridge collapsed around her prone form. This is my chance to begin my true mission. Sai quickly unraveled a scroll in midair and began drawing on it while it was still afloat. Chaoju Giga, Ninpo. A bird appeared from the scroll, which Sia mounted and flew away with. Get Sakura, Sai, Kakashi yelled at him. But as she fell, he flew away in the direction of Naruto and Orochimaru, completely ignoring her. Of all times, damn it. Kakashi took some wire attached to a grappling hook from his pouch and lashed it to the last remaining post on the end of the rapidly crumbling bridge, but he had to come to a halt as a pink blur shot up from over the river with Sakura in hand. The pink-clothed figure flew to the grassy patch before the bridge and landed next to Shino, looking sternly into his eyes as Kakashi approached, pink meeting black. I warned you to get off the bridge, but you didn't listen, and this is what happened. Our mission parameters were clear, Kakashi explained, and what just happened could not have been predicted. Do you have faith in Naruto-sama? Shigur inquired. Yes, Shino replied. With our very lives, Kakashi added. Then extend that same faith to those he chose himself, she said, because we are extensions of Naruto power-samas and will. I see, Kakashi said, please forgive us for our earlier mistrust. There is no reason. As she picked up her red panda, she said. Now if there was only a way to cross. Kakashi thought to himself. I believe I can assist with that. Hagain Shoku no Jutsu, Kinzokuten. Two parallel poles of metal shot out from one end of the now bridgeless chasm and pierced into the opposite wall as smaller poles sprouted from them, forming a makeshift bridge. As always, beautiful. Mataza remarked as he admired his work. Many thanks. Kumori Mataza, he muttered as he sank into the earth. Shino, follow Naruto and Orochimaru, don't make contact, and try not to get too close, Kakashi said. Hi. He said this before sprinting across Mataza's steel bridge and vanishing in hot pursuit. Aren't you going to make certain Naruto is okay? I see you're awake, Sakura, Kakashi said. I'm sorry about what happened. There's no need, she explained, my mission was to check on you, Hitaki-san. This revelation completely surprised Kakashi. As he tried to put some distance between himself and Naruto, Orochimaru dashed through the trees at breakneck speed, sometimes blurring out of sight. After a few more bounds, he came to a halt and looked around, a look of disappointment on his face. Did he really abandon me? I'm dissatisfied with you, Orochimaru. A voice above him said. When he looked up, he saw a large fist of chakra coming straight at him, with such force and power that it created a large crater and the resulting shock wave uprooted the trees in the area. Orochimaru barely had time to flee, if losing an arm counts as fleeing. With a grin on his face, he landed on a branch of a tree at the far end of the new clearing and looked at Naruto. Is this the extent of a Jinchuriki's power? But as he said this, his eyes widened, as if he had been hit by a sharp pain. What followed would make a weaker person puke out his intestines. Orochimaru opened his mouth to inhumane proportions, and from his throat emerged a pale hand, then an elbow, and eventually Orochimaru crawled out of his own skin, covered in a slimy fluid, and his lost hand as if it had never been lost. That's an interesting trick, Naruto said. I thought I'd have to hold back in this form, but it appears that I don't have to. I could destroy you to my heart's content with no repercussions to my plan. Naruto vanished from his sight and reappeared at Orochimaru's side, fingers curled and ready to deliver an Odayaka Kotetsu strike, but Orochimaru avoided it by twisting his body in an almost impossible way that allowed the strike to simply glide past his body, setting Naruto up for a devastating knee to the face. So he reasoned. He never got a chance to deliver his knee strike because a sharp pain ripped across his chest, following the path the strike took when he avoided it. After his first strike was blocked, Naruto simply changed his footing and turned around to deliver an elbow strike to Orochimaru's unprotected floating rib. Despite the pain, Orochimaru managed to block it, resulting in yet another stabbing pain. To make matters worse, he didn't expect Naruto to attack him with his shoulder blades after hunching his shoulders and sharply pushing himself backwards. Orochimaru was thrown backwards and landed in a heap, his chest rasping for oxygen as his hand blackened from blocking an Odayaka Kotetsu strike powered by Kyuubi's chakra. A white bird soared above the fight, as if surveying the situation. On its back was a boy who was equally as pale, his emotionless face looking on unimpressed and perplexed. With his level of power, why is he only fighting with taijutsu? When he saw Naruto smile as Orochimaru shed his former self once more, he understood. Impossible, Sai reasoned. Could Naruto be playing with him? Is it true that he can fight a Sannin without the Kyuubi's power, or is it just overconfidence in this chakra? Meanwhile, Shino stood impassively and logically watching the fight from a tree just close enough to witness it without becoming a victim of any particularly destructive technique. In every aspect of this fight, Naruto appears to have the upper hand and appears to be holding back. What kind of taijutsu is that, Kukuku? It seems similar to the Hyuga's Jiyuken, but different, rasped the old serpent. Naruto could only smile as he watched Orochimaru shed his skin once more. However, if you want to find Sasuke-kun, you'll have to do a lot better than that. What makes you think I came here for him? Because you're withholding. Show me the power of a Jinchuriki, said the snake Sannin. Very well, he said, but keep in mind that no one has ever witnessed or attained the true power of a Jinchuriki. More red chakra began to flow out of Naruto as a result of this. The red had become so intense that it began to take on shades of black and brown. It swarmed like a dense fog in the ground and air before swirling towards Naruto and encasing him in an orb of almost black chakra. And then, without warning, the orb exploded with such force that everything on that side of the bridge was ripped and strewn like leaves in a hurricane, destroying Sai's flying mount and forcing Shino to seek refuge beneath the earth. When he emerged, he looked around with awe, as the dust that had obscured Naruto's vision appeared to be the depths of some long dried-out lake. The environment will never be the same again. This is becoming far too dangerous, Shino thought. How can anyone control such power while remaining sane? Orochimaru's belly was planted to the ground as he licked his lips in delight with his long grotesque tongue. This child. He rasped with delight, enchants me to no end. Naruto stood on all fours as four tails of crimson chakra danced menacingly behind him. Chakra rolled off of them like flames and the Kyuubi's armor like a blood-red skin over his own. Meanwhile, Kakashi, Sakura, and Shigure were buffeted by the gust caused by Naruto's transformation. Are you not going to assist him? Naruto-sama doesn't require my assistance. The only one who would require assistance is Orochimaru, Shigure stated. What? Are you serious? Sakura couldn't say. The title of Kanshisha was not bestowed on him solely for the sake of his ideals. Not even you, Hitaki Kakashi, can hope to lay a finger on him, she said, her pink irises gleaming with admiration and respect as she looked into the distance where Naruto fought. With the kind of power we're feeling, is there anyone who can? Kakashi wondered. You don't understand. Shigure returned his gaze to Kakashi. I wasn't talking about using Kyuubi's chakra with him. I see. And that was all Kakashi could say until he was asked, what is the Kanshisha anyway? Kanshisha, Shigure explained, is the title Naruto-sama chose when he was chosen to be the leader of the Hidden Storm, a village founded by him and Hinata-sama. Didn't Naruto found a hidden village? Sakura asked, surprised. Yes, and any of us would gladly lay down our lives to protect him and Hinata-sama. If it hadn't been for them, there would have been a lot of lost and broken people and more who could have gotten a second chance, she said. Is that so? Asked someone casually, so Naruto-kun has been doing rather well for himself. Kabuto, Kakashi grumbled. Relax, Hitaki-san, I'm not here to fight, he explained, she is the only one in a position to fight. Your student may require your protection, and I have used up a lot of chakra healing myself. Orochimaru cocked his head back and spewed hundreds of snakes that slithered towards Naruto, and as they got closer, swords sprouted from each one's mouth, intent on piercing Naruto several hundred times. With millimeters remaining, Naruto struck but pierced nothing but an afterimage, only to be jabbed by a chakra-laced clawed finger, causing it to disintegrate. Naruto continued like an intricate dance, wasting no chakra or movement as he waded through them like a tailor going through precious silk and moving faster than thought possible. Seeing him was both inspiring and terrifying at the same time. Naruto jumped out of the horde of sword-wielding snakes like a fish out of water as they all turned to ash. Orochimaru was taken aback. He had assumed that he would simply use some sort of destructive force to annihilate the entire thing in one blast, but he had never imagined that the Kyuubi boy would possess such skill and control to destroy every last one with such calm and terrifying speed, efficiency, and precision. His underestimation of Naruto's ability was also revealed when Naruto's fist appeared in front of him but missed Orochimaru by an inch due to his years of experience and uncanny sense of danger. However, there was nothing that could have been done to prevent the resulting shockwave from cratering the already bowl-shaped battleground and wreaking havoc on everything within a few miles. Naruto-sama appears to have released the fourth story. He may be preparing to wrap things up. Do you mean he can? Yes, but don't ask any more questions. These are all Storm secrets. Once upon a time, he was the Leaf's secret. Sakura retorted. It's a shame you never appreciated him. This might be interesting. Sakura was at a loss for words after that last statement. Friends are like a dangerous sharp weapon that will never cut you and will always protect you as you protect it. However, when they are ignored and betrayed, they can just as easily cut the hand that has now become offensive. Orochimaru was weakening. He could feel his stolen body rejecting him. The 3 years would be up in 6 months. Naruto adopted Odayaka Kotetsu's fighting stance. Orochimaru, seeing this and realizing he couldn't outrun him, did the only thing he could at the time: he jumped ship. His mouth opened, and he slithered away from Naruto, leaving his empty shell of a body behind.
Orochimaru slithered around him looking for an opening to strike when he saw one and moved in for the attack, but it was all for naught as his punch never got a chance to land as both halves of his body sailed past him on either side only to be reconnected by snakes shouting out of his body reattaching the two halves as Orochimaru continued to slither away to a safe distance.
Kukuku, Naruto-kun, I am very impressed. You are certainly stronger than Sasuke-kun in that form, but I wonder if you can match his Sharingan, he said. Take me to him, and we'll figure it out. Tempting, he said with a grin, perhaps after his Sharingan becomes mine. I can't let that happen, Naruto said. What was that technique you used just now? There were no hand seals and it felt like a razor-sharp blade, like wind chakra. I'm sure you're dying to know. Here's another one you'll like. Please don't die. I don't want Sasuke to forget his original purpose by trying to prove himself by killing the one who killed his master, he said with a grin. As he said this, a large number of red and blue orbs began to break free from his body and floated around Naruto. Sai and Shino both saw the orbs from their separate locations and came to the same conclusion. Pure chakra, I say. When Naruto brought his tail forward over his head, the orbs began to merge into a large purple mass, which was then compressed into a smaller sphere so heavy that the ground beneath him cratered even more. This is getting dangerous. Even I won't be able to withstand being hit by that much concentrated chakra. Orochimaru pondered after leaping further back, sensing the impending danger. Orochimaru, please don't die from this alone, Naruto said, because it would deprive Sasuke of his ego boost when he kills you. Kukuku, I'm sure he'll try sooner or later. Naruto then opened his mouth and swallowed the compressed orb of chakra, causing his body to become bloated and heavy. How do you intend to fight me with that massive mass of chakra impeding your movement? A warning alarm went off in Orochimaru's head as the bulge in Naruto's body moved forward to his head. So that's how it works. He raised both of his hands in preparation and bit both of his thumbs to draw blood. When the bulge in Naruto's body reached his mouth, Orochimaru slapped the ground and summoned his summoning technique as a massive blast of chakra came directly at him with enough power to end his life and any remaining pieces. Sanju Rishuman. 3 40-foot walls erupted in front of him, each resembling heavy imperial gates built solely to defend against any siege or battery assault. But it wasn't enough. The attack hit the barriers with such force that they were completely destroyed, but not before absorbing most of the attack and diverting it so that it ripped 2 deep trenches the size of a river. It was massive, so much so that Sai and Shino struggled to keep their positions. What a battle, was all he could think of. As Naruto stood on all fours, waiting for the smoke to clear, a blade shot out of the haze, intent on piercing his chest. The blade moved quickly as Orochimaru's neck stretched to unimaginable lengths to further drive the weapon home. The blade eventually embedded itself in the cliff beneath Kakashi and the others. However, there was no Naruto pinned to the wall. Instead, he clung upside down to the blade and stepped off the cliff face. Orochimaru's eyes shone with surprise. I believe it is best that I withdraw for the time being. This boy has grown far too powerful to handle at the moment. Naruto, who was still in his 4-tailed form, looked around and noticed Kabuto. Do you want a light spar, Kabuto? I appreciate the invitation, Naruto-kun, but I'm afraid I must decline. With that, he vanished along with a few hand seals and Orochimaru, whose blade was no longer embedded in the cliff. Naruto stood on 2 legs as he began to reabsorb the Kyuubi's chakra, and Sakura watched as Shino and Tsubaki appeared. Tsubaki and Shigure stood by Naruto's side, while Shino stood beside Kakashi. When the procedure was completed and Naruto regained his normal state, he staggered for a brief moment as Tsubaki extended his hand. It was only mild exhaustion, but nothing Naruto couldn't overcome in a matter of minutes. Naruto? Sakura took a tentative step forward before freezing in place when Naruto's piercing gaze rendered her helpless. There was no killing intent, just an incredibly intense blue, sharper than the steel of a katana, and where there had once been a boyish crush that danced in his eyes when he looked at her, there was nothing, as if she no longer existed or mattered to him. Nonetheless, her heart raced and pounded in her chest, and her hands trembled in terror. In front of her was not the same Naruto who had vanished. Perhaps he died. The Naruto she knew had an effect on people, but not the kind she felt now. She felt helpless in the presence of those eyes, terrified, awed, and completely enraptured. Such presence, to be able to do so much with a glance and every movement of his body, caused a sudden heat rise in her cheeks and chest, despite the fact that she felt cornered but unable or unwilling to lash out or even defend herself. Was this really Naruto Uzumaki? Yes, it is me. Did you forget about me? Sakura was rendered speechless for the first time in her life, and she had nothing to say. Sakura-chan, what's the matter? Are you afraid the demon isn't as dead as you wanted, or are you afraid of the retribution you deserve for cursing the name of a fallen comrade who once gave his life for your sake? He asked. And Naruto. Or maybe, he said as he took a step forward, you're afraid you've merged them. Naruto kept walking toward Sakura, and her heart beat faster and faster until he was right next to her, and Sakura's breath caught in her throat, and as soon as he passed her, she collapsed to her knees, breathing heavily. What happened just now? What happened to her, Naruto? Shino inquired. Naruto sat against a tree, slid down, and pulled his coat hood up. Shigur, Naruto inquired, is the area safe? Yes, Koko-chan and her friends said everything is fine. Everyone except Naruto and Tsubaki was caught off guard by the sudden personality shift. Good, he said as he closed his eyes, there will be time to answer questions later, but the mission isn't over yet. Well said, Naruto, Kakashi said, but are you all right? Give me a few minutes, he replied, controlling that level of Kyuubi's chakra is extremely difficult. How much power do you have? Is it okay, Uzumaki-sama, to be telling them all this information? Tsubaki asked Naruto. It's fine, Tsubaki, he replied quietly, I trust Kakashi and the current Hokage with my life. And what about the Aburame and Sakura? I'll rely on Kakashi to keep them in line, Naruto replied. Shino has always been a logical person, but I don't trust Sakura. Tsubaki nodded in agreement. I'm sorry about that. Naruto scratched the back of his head as he turned to face the others. I can control up to about 5 tails, but at 6, I can't tell the difference between friend and foe. I am proud of you, Naruto, Kakashi said with a smile, you have come a long way in the last few years. I'd like to talk some more, but we may have to return to our respective villages. How come you say that? Perhaps the idiot is still there, Kakashi reasoned. Both of our missions have come to an end. What makes you say that? Tsubaki inquired as she approached Naruto's sitting form. Our mission was to apprehend the spy who turned out to be Kabuto, and yours appeared to be the assassination of Orochimaru, Kakashi concluded, but both our targets escaped. He, Shigur laughed. Can you think of anything amusing, Shigur-san?
Well, there's that G.
Before she could say anything, she was quickly silenced by a hand over her mouth as Tsubaki whispered in her ear. She's quick, Kakashi and Shino observed. Sakura was still a little dazed to notice anything. That is supposed to be a sensitive secret that should never be discussed. Shigur blushed with embarrassment as she smiled. I'm sorry, Tsubaki-sama, but I forgot. It's all right, she said flatly, just don't let it happen again. I believe it is in both of our best interests for you to share any information you have on this subject, Shino stated. Tsubaki didn't respond and simply resumed her position on Naruto's left side. Is it safe to assume you have a way of tracking Kabuto and Orochimaru? Kakashi inquired. Tsubaki remained deafeningly silent. Naruto? Kakashi inquired. We have a method of tracking them directly to their hideout. Really, how? Kakashi inquired. That I won't say, but we can get you there if you want, Naruto said as he stood up. Time to go. Shiger, find the trail. Well, the idiot we all know is gone, but I think I like this Naruto as well, Kakashi reflected. With little effort, a plume of chakra in the shape of feathers sprouted from her tailbone, hypnotizing everyone who saw it, and her pink eyes began to glow. She walked around the clearing until the light from her chakra plumage revealed a pink stain on a tree. It goes like this, Naruto-sama. Alright, lead the way. Are you still waiting for your last team member, Naruto? Shino inquired. No, he has a special mission to complete, he explained, but what about you? Isn't one of your team members missing? Indeed, Kakashi said, a dangerous look in his eye promising Sai death if he saw him again. That jerk deserted us, Sakura added. Kind of ironic, too, because that guy reminded me of Sasuke. As they traveled, the group fell silent until the oddest person broke the silence. Naruto, much to your surprise, that name is forbidden among your friends, including Sakura. You're right, Naruto admitted, but I don't believe it. The group fell silent once more as they followed Shiger. Meanwhile, Orochimaru slithered out of his body and collapsed on the floor, his time running out as his current body began to reject him. It's ironic that the jutsu he created to live forever might as well kill him early if he didn't get a weak-minded host. As Orochimaru stood and stopped in front of him with that persistent smile, Sai approached him from his hiding spot. I work for Danzo-sama. I am not your adversary, he explained. There is something I need to talk to you about. Orochimaru looked at the boy for a while before speaking. Danzo, that senile old relic, he sneered, is he still breathing? So, what do you want to talk about? I have a message from Danzo-sama for you, Orochimaru-sama, Sai said, his fake smile still on his face. Orochimaru cut him off before he could finish his sentence. When speaking to me, remember to choose your words carefully, the snake Sannin advised. Despite this warning and Orochimaru's stern expression, Sai did not flinch, instead continuing to wear that plastic smile. If you don't, I'll kill you. I will only speak as Danzo-sama has directed, Sai said, adding, if anything I say bothers you, please do as you wish. The Sannin seemed pleased with this response, and the heavy atmosphere seemed to dissipate as Orochimaru smiled and licked his lip. Orochimaru, on the other hand, caught Sai completely off guard when he suddenly regurgitated a sword and spat it at him in one motion, impaling him through the chest. You have no manners, Orochimaru said in front of the Sai, who suddenly turned white and fell to the ground in a mass of ink. When speaking to someone above you, he explained as the sword he hurled transformed into a snake and crawled up his leg, etiquette dictates that you show your true face. Sai emerged from the earth from behind the ink spot. Alright, then, let's do it. Danzo-sama has been longing to contact you ever since your plan to destroy Konoha failed, Sai began. Orochimaru paused to consider what Sai had just said before speaking. How much of what you said should I trust? Orochimaru inquired. Sai cautiously raised his hand over his head and began rummaging through his pack, but he was tackled from behind, knocking him to the ground and spilling the contents of his pack, and on top of him was Kabuto, with a kunai placed around Sai's neck. What is the big idea? Kabuto inquired. Now, Kabuto, calm down, Orochimaru said. That boy will be joining our ranks as of today. Can we rely on him? Please examine that letter, Sai said from the ground. It is from Danzo to you. Orochimaru noticed the envelope on the ground and took it. He untied the string and opened the envelope to read the paper inside. It is. What exactly does it say? Kabuto inquired. Orochimaru did not respond as he reinserted the sheet of paper into the envelope. Kabuto, let that boy go. We're bringing him with us, he said. Despite his reluctance, Kabuto obeyed and put his weapon away. Are you prepared to go, Sai, or whatever your name is? They were off after Sai gave another false smile. Naruto and his companions followed the trail until they came to a barren wasteland. They passed by the location where Sai and Orochimaru had their conversation. Only an ink stain and Sai's book remained. They kept going until they came to a cliff face. Is this where Naruto is? Kakashi inquired. Yes, I can feel their chakras coming from within, Naruto said as he touched the stone surface, a smile spreading across his face. Especially him, the black sheep of Team 7. Sakura's eyes widened as she asked, you mean Sasuke? Alright, let's find a way in without making any noise, Kakashi said, and we meet back here. As the remnants of Kakashi's team dispersed in different directions, he sent out signals. As they walked away, Naruto's team vanished, seemingly unaware of a spectacled overlord. You have grown strong, Naruto-kun, he said, raising his glasses, but you still have a lot to learn. And you, Kabuto, have grown arrogant in your own strength. The tip of a white straight-bladed kodachi pierced Kabuto's chest, followed by a solid kick that catapulted him off the rock face on which he stood. The kick was not so powerful that he cratered the ground, but it was powerful enough that he rotated in the air and bounced when he landed. Kabuto could feel the air being knocked out of him as he hit the ground, further damaging his already punctured lung. At the same time, Kunai was pinning his limbs to the ground as they passed through Kabuto's palms, shoulders, and insteps, embedding to the surface beneath. It appears that I was a little too confident, Kabuto coughed up some blood, to think you would get the drop on me and incapacitate me so quickly. Be careful how you address Uzumaki-sama, Tsubaki advised. And quite the following, he grinned, but despite your brief victory, I will not reveal any secrets, because I am not as easy as that Hyuga bitch of yours. Perhaps Kabuto expected Naruto to lose his temper, inadvertently freeing him in a fit of rage, or simply aggravate his captor to buy time, but what happened next surprised him. Naruto's features hardened as he began to speak. You underestimate me, Kabuto, Naruto said. I am no longer that naive and easily angered boy you once knew and enjoyed manipulating, right Kakashi? As he said this, Sakura and Shino appeared, closely followed by Kakashi. No, you are absolutely not the same. Did you find a way in safely? No, Kakashi replied, there's probably only one way in and out of here, so we'll have to use him to get in. No need, Naruto said, raising his sword, I'll make our own door. Are you saying you're going to smash through the wall with that kodachi, Naruto? Sakura inquired. Just keep an eye on it, Sakura, he said as he began to channel his chakra into the blade, which began to glow the same white as his blade. This sword is more than just a blade, but the very essence of the wind. With that, Naruto cut 4 slashes in the shape of a rectangle, tall and wide enough for one person to pass through comfortably. As he cut the final slash, nothing happened. Hey, I guess you're still nothing but a big mouth, Naruto-kun, Kabuto mocked, only to be met with a backhand from Tsubaki. You have been warned about how you address Uzumaki-sama. Thank you, Tsubaki, Naruto said with a smile, and please be quiet. Alright, then. Chakra feather plumes erupted from her tailbone, and she drew her blade from across her back. She unsheathed her blade and extended it with chakra, merging the chakra part with the stone, and it simply slid out with a little help from Naruto. Naruto's sword, which he used to cut out the boulder, simply vanished in the breeze. Sakura could only say, amazing. Alright, Tsubaki and Shigure, you know what to do. Hi, they both said before Tsubaki handed Naruto an earpiece and led them into the base, where they parted ways. Alright, let's split up, Kakashi said to Sakura and Shino, but please use extreme caution. They walked away with a nod, leaving Naruto and Kakashi standing over Kabuto. Are we there yet? Leave him, Naruto instructed. I'll make sure he's taken care of, and I'll be right behind you in a minute. That's excellent. Naruto turned to face Kabuto as Kakashi exited through the door. Well, Naruto-kun, it appears that it's just me and... Kabuto couldn't finish his sentence because Naruto flicked something in his mouth, causing him to gag slightly. Has anyone ever told you, Naruto began as Kabuto began to sweat profusely, that you talk a lot? What in the world did you give me? It's just something to deplete your chakra so you can't use that healing jutsu of yours, Naruto explained, as if it were a regular occurrence. Then, unexpectedly, Naruto's personality darkened. You made a big mistake, Kabuto, Naruto said, withdrawing a kunai and 3 senbon, never insult Hyuga Hinata in my presence. Naruto then threw the senbons at Kabuto's throat, preventing him from making any noise, and with surgical precision, Naruto removed Kabuto's left eye and squashed it under his foot. Naruto then picked up Kabuto's glasses and broke them in half. Perhaps with a monocle it won't fall down as much. He looked at him, your chakra will return at your own rate, but it will be too late to remove that scar. Naruto then threw the 2 halves on him and went into the cave. The rage on Kabuto's face would have scared a lesser man to his mother's breasts, but it had no effect on Naruto, who only looked back impassively with one final piece of advice. I'm sure you'll find a replacement eye, but if you insult her again in my presence, I'll rip your tongue out through your throat. The rage remained, but something else began to emerge, something Kabuto had not felt in a long time, fear. Sai crouched at the door, taking care not to wake the sleeping residents of the room. He spread his paper out and drew a snake on it. Chaoju Giga, Ninpo. A snake slithered its way out of the scroll and into the room, slowly creeping up the bed and completely wrapping and immobilizing the hapless victim of sleep. Or was he as hapless as he looked? Blood-red Sharingan eyes opened and looked down at his condition. What exactly does this mean? He inquired, a slight annoyance in his tone. Good evening, Uchiha Sasuke, Sai said, it's been a pleasure meeting you, but your time has come to an end. When Sasuke spoke, Sai reached over his shoulder to draw his sword, his back still facing Sai. Just for that, you woke me up? Boom. The earpiece in Tsubaki's ear cackled. Tsubaki. Uzumaki-sama, yes? I'm going in, but please don't interfere. However, Uzumaki-sama. Do you understand, Tsubaki, that is an order from your leader? As you wish, Uzumaki-sama. As he approached the end of the tunnel where the explosion occurred, Naruto smiled. Thank you very much, Tsubaki. As Sasuke stood at the edge of the hole he had dug, he couldn't help but feel a sense of power wash over him, because at his feet were people who were once his equal, but that all changed when he heard footsteps coming out of the tunnel, a slow, even gait of a figure in a dark hooded bell sleeve coat. What is your name? Sasuke inquired. The figure came to a halt and removed the hood. How can you forget your best friend Sasuke's face? Naruto said as he took off his hood. If Sasuke was surprised to see him, he didn't show it. Naruto approached, and before anyone could blink, Sasuke was on him, one hand on his shoulder. Isn't it true that you're supposed to be dead? You know me better than that, Sasuke, Naruto said, his hands still in Sasuke's. I always said I wouldn't die until I became Hokage. Should you then train instead of hunting for me? Sasuke still had that superiority complex after all these years. That is no longer important, Naruto said in the same calm tone. Why didn't you murder me? Sasuke didn't respond at first, until he began to draw his sword. On a whim, he said, unsheathing the sword completely, and on a whim, I will kill you. And with that, Sasuke lowered his blade, fully intent on killing his former best friend. No, Sasuke! Sakura yelled as she dashed to halt them. But it was too late. Sasuke's blade was already falling, and Naruto remained motionless, so she did the only thing she could think of. Sakura couldn't bear seeing Naruto die again, whether out of guilt, remorse, or shame for previous actions. If he did, there would be no mercy for her soul. Sasuke sheathed his blade as he watched Sakura slump to the ground, and in order to save Naruto's life, she placed her own body between Sasuke's blade and Naruto, taking the blow in his place. Sasuke, Naruto said as his hand began to glow green over Sakura's wound, causing it to heal. How did he pick up medic jutsu? It wasn't my fault she got in my way. Suddenly, Naruto's head shot up, and in his eyes were the bloodshot read of Kyuubi, but Sasuke was unfazed. He returned those red eyes with his own red pair, and the next thing Naruto knew, he was standing in front of the Kyuubi's bubbly form. Ha ha ha, Naruto yo, the best-tailed spoke slyly. Why do you engage in such play with this child? With your power and strength, we should be able to destroy him, and with mine, we can even exact vengeance on the snake. You are correct, Kyuubi, Naruto said, smirking at the Kyuubi's hopeful grin. But you will have to do much better than that, you stupid fox. You arrogant little. Kyuubi's rant came to a halt when he caught sight of the newcomer. You've entered a dangerous area, Sasuke, Naruto warned. Those eyes, and an intensity greater than Uchiha Madara's. Sasuke simply grabbed the bubble form of Kyuubi by the nose and tore it, dispersing the Kyuubi's chakra throughout the corridor. You may be able to suppress my chakra, but don't be too foolish with Naruto, Kyuubi said as the last of his chakra vanished. I don't care who this Madara person is, Sasuke said as he turned to face Naruto. That pathetic excuse for a demon may be dangerous for you, but not for me. Sasuke came to a halt, as if expecting something to happen. I wasn't referring to the stupid fox, Sasuke. As Naruto said this, the mindscape faded slowly, but Sasuke could hear the Kyuubi laughing at him before it was completely gone. They both awoke in the real world, and before Sasuke could think about what had happened, he was forced to dodge swarms of insects and an ink-drawn raging lion. As Sasuke leapt back to his original position on top of the attacks were easily dodged. This is starting to irritate me, he said as he began a series of hand seals and his body began to glow with a whitish hue. A pale hand grasped his wrist and stopped him before he could finish his technique. There's no reason to waste such a technique on trash like them, Orochimaru explained. Sasuke only grunted and yanked away his hand. Get us out of here, Kabuto. Hello, Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto said as he began a quick set of seals that faded away, but before he was completely gone, he said one thing. I'm sorry our reunion was cut short, Naruto-kun, but I promise to repay you for my eye. I swear to you. This was not said in a cheerful or even condescending tone, but rather with pure malice, and what Naruto said at the last moment was a slap in the face to the threat. Stop trying to imitate my Nindo. It's not making you look cool. Sasuke, on the other hand, was preoccupied with other matters. Could he have subconsciously blocked the Sharingan? No, that is not possible, and that is not important. I am almost strong enough to kill Itachi, he said ruthlessly. They were gone, and Naruto returned to caring for Sakura, who awoke and jumped up with a start after a few moments. Is Naruto all right? She flinched, expecting the sword wound to hurt, but when she looked at her side, there was barely a scar. Who, and how?
There's no need to rush, Sakura.
Kakashi-sensei. Your wounds were healed by Naruto. This surprised Sakura because the Naruto she knew had terrible chakra control, making it impossible for him to learn Medjutsu. However, all of that seemed to be irrelevant in the current situation. I have something I need to tell you, Naruto. Please listen. Naruto, who was talking to Tsubaki and Shigure at the time, turned around to see her. What exactly is it? He inquired. I know you must hate me for everything I said and how I treated you, and you have every right to, but if there is anything I can ever do to regain your trust in me, I will do it, she says softly. You are correct. I should despise you. How many people can say that after being betrayed by their best friend, their teammate blames you for it and wishes your soul to burn in the depths of hell? Especially since you died attempting to bring that treacherous friend back to them. The only issue was that I wasn't dead. Naruto took a breather. He had not lost control of his emotions. Yes, I was right there when you said all those things. Remember the festival with a pair of traveling siblings, one of whom was bandaged from head to toe? Sakura's eyes widened as she remembered, the embarrassment and remorse building up and stinging like bile in her throat. But I don't hate you, Sakura, I should thank you. Sakura felt hope for a moment. Because of you, I now understand the distinction between hope and naivete copyright. But, Sakura, I can't forgive you just yet. Sakura couldn't stop the tears from falling down her cheeks, as Hinata had always told her, but now that Naruto was there, it was even worse. Tell Tsunade no Ban I said hello, Kakashi. As the wind picked up, Naruto wrapped his hands around the ram seal. Wait. Yelled Kakashi, I can't do that. So why not? Naruto inquired as he cancelled his jutsu. You are the only person she will allow to call her that. Anyone else will be hurt to the point where even she will be unable to repair them. Shigure and Tsubaki exchanged glances, and Naruto began to chuckle. And another thing, Naruto, Shino added. What exactly do you mean by Shodai Kanshisha? Naruto smiled and reinserted his hands into the ram seal. Since it's you, I'll tell you this before I leave, he said as the wind picked up again. The new hidden village formed in the new whirlpool country that I helped forge is under my guardianship. You should be proud of your former teammate. Naruto began to fade away as he said one final thing and tossed a silver fang to Kakashi. Give that to Tsunade no Ba-chan. She'll have unlimited access to it and will be able to find me at any time. It was made especially for her. Naruto vanished as if carried away by the wind. Alright, everyone, he said before turning to Sai. We've got a long walk ahead of us, Sai, with plenty of time for discussion.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.